brazen about their own faults and lack of faith as a man of God. But, so therefore, as he's writing this, however, no, he has learned. His answer to this question is, of course, that you should have compassion. Yes, God, I am wrong. My heart was wrong. I didn't get it. I was vengeful. I was prideful. I was selfish. And yes, I get it. And the plant thing was all for me to understand that, because I was, it pleased me and I was comfortable. And then I had, even I was angry as God, I had some measure of compassion for the silly thing. And had none for people like me that you created in your image. And we all have the same value. If Osama bin Laden were to hear the gospel and be born again and be in heaven with us, that would be an amazing thing. Amazing testimony to God's grace and forgiveness and mercy. Now, God also knows that there are people who never will. Whenever He does go in and destroy cities and peoples, He knows, because He knows the beginning from the end, that not one of those that has perished at His hand would have ever in their lifetime come to accept His ways of salvation. That He's God and that He created them and He died and would be the one to die in their place and to love them. No, none of that. Okay? I think we can be sure of that. And here, Jonah, I believe, he's learned a hard lesson. He's willing to tell the truth about his amazing story. Should I not have compassion on Nineveh, the great city, in which there are more than 120,000 young people? He's going, wow. And really this message, God was using Jonah to get a message to Israel. He's merely an image of the national image of Israel at the time. Prideful, arrogant, seemingly self-sufficient. They were in a period of prosperity and conquest, winning battles, restoring the boundaries of the land, and all kinds of good things. And they had become, wow, we're God's people, and we're so blessed because of it. And God loves us. And look at all them. He doesn't love them. They're wicked, nasty, awful people. And aren't we so blessed and fortunate? We hold God to ourselves, and we think the people out there are bad. Look at them, all those people out there. Those bad people out there are just like you and me. Maybe much like we maybe used to be or maybe would have become. Some sure worse in terms of the stuff they do, but the same in the general sense of just lost and outside of God and need Him. Maybe the thing for us to focus on as we leave is this. Because one of the things I kind of picked up on, pretty obviously though, however, is that Jonah was more interested in his own comfort than he was of the spiritual and eternal lives of other people. And I think that's really the question for us today. I think it's the biggest one we're left with here. It's really even the question that God's getting to in verse 11. And I mentioned earlier that I'm a person of, I'm a creature of comfort. I'm sometimes a comfortable creature when I actually achieve that comfort for which I seek. And not to say, that we, as God allows and provides, We're not to seek that we are not ever comfortable. We're not to deliberately go out and make ourselves miserable all the time and do weird things that lots of religious people do to create pain and discomfort and upon themselves, just, deliberately. No, we don't set out to do that. I think it's fine to desire to be at rest in Him, and to be comfortable and to feel just blessed and loved and provided for and protected. But to have that, I suppose, to be our motivation, our goal, our obsession, to where maybe we are literally only concerned about our own personal comfort, while we don't have to think very far before we encounter those hurting, suffering, dying, outside of our comfort zone. Whether it be our neighbors dying spiritually, whether it be our neighbors suffering physically, whether it be the tens, maybe even the hundreds of thousands of Christians in the Sudan who have been raped, murdered. We start to really look globally and it's overwhelming. But if God so calls, there is a place for each one of us to participate in. But we can tend to have a culture that's really based upon comfort. See, most of us are actually quite comfortable, I'm sure, in our homes, for the most part. Yeah, we would be fed, we're warm, probably have a fairly comfortable chair in which to sit and relax. And yet our culture tells us, through commercialism, etc., that no, you want, of course, you need this. And all these opulent, luxurious things, on just, you name it. To be more comfortable and more, pampered and catered to. And we can want that, and we can pursue that, and we can envy that. Let alone if we sit in our own meager comfort that we have been able to scratch out of this world, or really more accurately that God has given. And just get comfortable. Maybe like Jonah at the beginning, we talked about how he was asleep. But everything's going to hell around him. And we need to be awake and see and know and understand how we can respond to the issues and lives of people around us. What do you think of when you think of your future, especially? You think of your future, where you'll be, maybe what sort of status of, what will be your circumstances and so forth that surround a retirement, if you're really able to achieve such a thing. What do you envision for what you would like to see, at least, and how you would end, and we would live out our days? Is it all about achieving a place where we can be comfortable and worry-free? Selfish, self-serving, using all of our resources just to provide comfort for myself rather than giving a portion of those resources to others who need it. Right here in our midst, actually we do see that shuffle around quite a bit, and it really, really pleases me, blesses me to see that. As well as around the world, even, what we can do. Maybe do an individual rather than to a big group. We don't know what's going to happen, but I don't know about you, but have been seriously challenged by that. By the time spent just being comfortable, the desire to be so, even when I envision, if God were to move us off to a different place, to maybe, a great city or thereabouts. What's my setting going to be there? How beautiful and how comfortable is it going to be? What a tragedy when God's people care more about creaturely comforts than the interests of God's will. And by contrast, God is unselfish and wants His people to obey Him. He wants us to be rid of the religious sham. To place no limits on His universal love and grace extended to you and me and every other person that He has ever created or His creation. And His desire is that none would perish, but all would come to the knowledge of the truth.